is James here with the Oracle Outlook for the week starting February the 17th, 2020. Thanks so much for tuning in and joining me for this week's video reading. I am so happy to have you here. This week I'm honoring the request of one of my viewers, Tisempa, who asked me if I would be willing to do a line of 7 the next time I worked with Lenormand. Well, Tisempa, this video is for you because I just got off of a Skype call with one of my Lenormand students, so the Lenormand deck is literally on the table. So I thought, this is perfect. So the deck that specifically is going to be assisting me for this week's reading/challenge, because Tisempa worded it as a challenge, is going to be one of my favorite Lenormand decks of all time, and that is La Faneuse Lilac Dondorf. And as always, I will be leaving information about the deck in the description box below. So let's see what the Lenormand, using a line of 7, wants to share with us about the week ahead. And here we are with the cards on the table, and I'm going to take a few moments to shuffle the deck. And as I shuffle, I'm focusing on my intention for these weekly general readings, and that is for the information, for the insight, and for the guidance to come through the cards that is going to be most helpful and beneficial as we move through the upcoming week. Feeling one more time will be good. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut the deck. Fan the cards out. And now I'm going to be looking for 7 cards in the fan that are getting my attention, because I'm honoring the request of a viewer who asked to see me work with a line of 7. Okay, I have 6 cards. I'm looking for the 7th card. It's over here. So those are my 7 cards. I'm going to remove the remainder of the deck. Now, just as I often do, I'm going to count back. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's just to make sure I actually have 7. And now, because this is a line, just like I do a line of 5, I'm going to lay out the cards from left to right. I'm just going to take a moment just to make sure that the line is actually straight. All right. And so now I would read a line of 7 cards the same way I would read a line of 5. So the middle card here would be the central issue or focus. And because there are 7 cards here, I'm going to do something else with this. So I'm going to read it the way I would normally read a line of cards. And I'm going to allow each card to also represent maybe a theme for the day that it represents. Since I read from Monday to Sunday, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? So as I look at each card, it's going to represent, based on its core meaning, a possible theme or energy for that particular day. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to read it the way that I normally would. So starting with the card in the middle, here we have the central issue or focus. So the thing that we're being asked to focus on this week is stars. Okay, so stars for me can represent what it is that we hope and wish for, because I go with the idea that stars plays on the idea of like when you wish upon a star. So this is a nod to give some energy and some attention to what it is that we hope and wish for. Along with that, because I also work as a life coach, for me, this is a life coaching card because the stars can symbolically represent our goals. So it could just be a matter of putting some focus and attention on your goals this week. What is it that you want to achieve, and what is it that you want to accomplish? And then the life coach in me kicks out and says, what would you like to do in terms of action that's going to allow you to achieve and accomplish those goals, right? It's not enough just about stating what the goal is. It's about what are you willing to do to accomplish it? What plan could you put into action that would allow you to achieve that goal or those goals? Another meaning for stars is that it can represent guidance and direction. So there may be for some people putting some energy, some attention, some focus on direction. Basically, like where you are at this stage in your life and where would you like to go forward. What do you envision for your life going forward, right? And that would be direction. Like, where do I see myself going? Where do I see my life going? Those kinds of things. And then also, this card is about inspiration, asking ourselves a deeper question at this point in our lives. What inspires me? What aspirations do I have? And if you're not clear, remember this is about clarity as well. If you're not clear, then the stars is asking you to put some energy and focus into gaining that clarity, right? So that is what stars means for me by itself. And so now let's take a look at the surrounding cards, starting with the card on the far left, because they will also add more information since this is the central issue of focus. So starting with the card that represents Monday, haha, look at this. So here we have the man. And so the man always represents a male. So if you're a woman watching this video, this could be a man who's significant to you. And if you're a man, then this card represents you. The first thing that I notice is that he's looking to the left. So he's looking outside of the line. So as a Lenormand reader, I tend to look at all the cards that are behind him as the past, right? So on Monday, since this is the core energy of Monday, so there may be a situation that involves a man, right? Again, if you're a woman, this would be a man who's connected to you. And if you're a man, then this is you specifically. So Monday is going to be your day, right? So with the direction, it could be, again, if we're going with the idea that the core focus card here is stars, and it's about guidance, it's about clarity, it's about direction, then it could be a person who maybe is struggling with that because it's behind him. And the fact that there's no card here in front of him, right? So it could just represent the future or something being unclear in the moment. But it could also be, is there a situation that you're feeling you want to exit from, right? Because it looks like he's about to exit the line. He's about to walk out of the line, right? So keeping with that, is there a situation that you're wanting to exit from? Meaning like, do you want to resolve it? Do you want to resolve it so you can move on? Those kinds of things. But the man card by itself usually just represents something that is going to involve a man. So now let's take a look at the card that represents Tuesday because it's behind him. And here we have the book. Oh, I love this. Okay, so I'm feeling inclined that the man in some way is talking about me. And this is why I'm saying that. Because I read the book. One of my meanings for book is it can represent a deck of cards. And then with the stars card, it can represent divination. And I am a card reader. So that is one way that I tend to look at this. And then, so that would be for me. So now if you happen to be a male who reads cards, then this could also be the same thing for you. Now, on Tuesday, the core energy of book can represent knowledge, it can represent education, it could represent learning something. So Tuesday may be a day where something is learned, right? Now, for some people, it may be something that is learned about a man, because we have the pairing here, right? If we're describing a man, then this could be somebody who's well-read, if not a reader, and that could be a book reader or a card reader. If not a reader, then somebody who's well-read, somebody who's knowledgeable, somebody who's educated, somebody who maybe even going with the literal aspect of books, somebody who's a novelist. So this could be a man who's writing a book, or that there's a book about a man, right? But book in and of itself can represent knowledge, education, like I said, learning. It can also represent a project, so there could be a project that involves a man. But now here's the interesting thing. the illustration of the book is closed. So one of its meanings with that in mind is that it can represent a secret or a mystery. So here we have maybe a man who's trying to conceal his past because the spine of the book is towards the man. And usually for me, the spine can tell you what the secret is about, whereas the pages of the book can tell you something more about like what's being opened, that kind of thing. But here we have maybe a man who's trying to conceal something about his past, or that there's a man who wants to close the book on his past because the card is behind him, right? And so if that's the case, going with the idea he's wanting to exit, wanting to step away from a situation, let's say that's the case, then Monday and Tuesday may be the days where he gets the knowledge that enables him to do that, right? So now, one other thing I will add, and this is for the person who actually made the request, so this is for Tisempa. So Tisempa, if you're watching this, then the man card could represent you, and it could be about you asking me about the request for doing this reading, and maybe there's an underlying purpose in it being a way for you to learn how to read the cards for yourself because you're seeking guidance and direction with divination. That's another one of my meanings for stars is divination, right? So there's that, and that would be for Tisempa specifically. So now let's take a look at the card that represents Wednesday. And here as the core theme, okay. So as the core energy or theme for Wednesday, here we have mice, and mice can represent loss, right? So here we have, if we pair the cards, here we have knowledge about loss. Remember now, because the pages of the book are facing the mice, right? So this is about knowledge about loss. It could also be knowledge that is stressful, or that knowledge that leads to stress or worry, right? So now, some other possibilities for Wednesday could be, because mice for me can represent pests or nuisances, this is a card that would suggest some level maybe we're being encouraged to kind of take a look at the things that may bother us or may annoy us or may irritate us on Wednesday. Mice would suggest not to let things stress you out and not to let things gnaw at you. And now I'm seeing something else. With the book being closed, remember now, one of the things could be about secrets, right? So if there is stress or worry or something is gnawing away at us, is it because we have not shared some knowledge? This card makes me feel like maybe the idea of keeping a secret is stressful, or that not sharing some piece of knowledge or some information could be potentially eating away at us or gnawing at us. So that's again what I'm seeing on Wednesday. It's about not letting things annoy us, irritate us, bother us. And if they are, then it's about consider if it's a little thing, because mice are little in size or small in size. So it could suggest not letting the little things annoy us, irritate us, gnaw away at us, that kind of thing. Now, if somebody is being asked to keep a secret, I'm looking at mice because mice can sometimes represent something that's spoiled or contaminated. So it could just be a matter of keeping the person's confidence if you can and not spoiling that, not contaminating that. Meaning, like, if the person asks you to keep his or her confidence, then strongly do that if you can, right? So now if I pair these two cards, Wednesday's and Thursday's cards, here we have loss of what? Inspiration, loss of direction, gradual decline in direction, gradual decline in inspiration, right? And then that brings us to Thursday and all the things that I talked about with stars, right? And this would be the cause that's producing this, right? If there is, going with the focus about need for clarity, a need for guidance, a need for direction, this is the reason why, because of order of the cards, right? So here we have knowledge about a loss or learning about a loss, and as a result of learning about a loss, it leads to a need for focusing on a goal or a hope or a wish. So now let's take a look on the other side of the line and see what is in the space representing Friday. And here we have tree. Okay, so this is positive because tree can represent growth and development. And it could also represent healing from something, right? So this could be a form of recovery, a process of recovery. This could be the hope or the wish for healing. Now, tree can also represent, keeping with the idea of growth and development, it could represent something that takes time to grow and develop. So here we're being asked to have patience, maybe with someone's hope or wish being fulfilled. We need to be patient with that. If somebody has some sort of aspiration to achieve a goal, again, maybe patience is needed for that. I would see this more as planting the seeds because the tree card can also be about roots. So it could just be like, what is your hope and wish rooted in? What is it grounded in? It could also be that if you want to achieve a certain goal, the idea of branching out may be key with that because the tree has branches. So I'm seeing that as a possibility here. So now let's move on to the card for Saturday. And here we have the sun. Oh, this gets better. Okay. So the sun for me is the best card in the deck. And when it turns up, one of its chief meanings for me is success. So this is Saturday. So Saturday as a day. First, this can actually represent a day, right? Because I see the sun being up. So this is day, daylight, daytime, that kind of energy. But it's also a day where you could have some sort of success or achieving something successfully. And that would be nice if we're talking about a hope, wish, or a goal. Then this is about success with that. It also can be about confidence, right? Needing to be confident in regard to whatever the hope, wish, or the goal is, right? Confident that you can succeed at it, right? So this is confidence, this is positive energy, this is a positive outlook, right? So if there is a hope or a wish for healing, let's say with tree can represent healing, then there's something about being successful with that or achieving some kind of success with that. If it's about clarity, remember this is a card about clarity, about a goal or a hope or a wish, then this card is illumination, right? Because we're moving from like maybe twilight hours to broad daylight. So there's something about that. Something coming to light is what I'm seeing here, right? And if the goal is to branch out, then it's being successful in that effort, or the need to be confident in branching out. I sometimes see the Seven of Hearts as developing connections. So here we have the idea here about if it's about developing connections, then here's about being confident as you develop those connections, right? And then that would make sense because now this interpretation of stars is coming to me. This is about a network, spreading something and being able to do that successfully. But it all comes down to being confident, right? So now let's take a look at the very last card in the line, and we have garden. Okay, so here we have community, here we have the public. So Sunday can be a day where it's going to be a very social day because this card can represent social gatherings, public places, social events, being out in public, groups of people, community, those kinds of things. And then here we have the possibility, if we mirror stars and garden, here we have the internet, because this for me can represent the internet. And then of course we have this card being social, then this could represent social media. If I pair the two cards here we have a day to be social or success with an event or happiness being out in public or out in nature. And that's very interesting because we have tree and we have garden. So there's something about being out in nature, right? If we go with the idea this can represent a literal tree and this could represent a literal garden or park, then it could just be a day at the park or a day out in nature. And it would be like if it's a nice sunny day, nice warm day, to do that. And that could be a weekend activity because here we have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, yeah? Remember now, the Lenormand cards can be really literal. And so there's some other things that I want to do here. We could mirror the cards. So mirroring the cards on the opposite ends. So here on the one end we have gentleman, and then on the other end we have garden. So this could represent a public man or a social man, or a man who's leaving a group or community of people, right? Because again, now remember, his back is to all the other cards. So there may be a situation involving a group of people that the man is trying to walk away from. Or it could also represent what he struggles with. So there could be something about a man struggling to some degree with being social, being out in public. And then that would make sense with the idea about needing to be confident, right? Or if this is his past, he was happy in the past, going with the idea that the Sun card is happiness. He was happy in the past with this group of people, but now that's no longer the case, right? Going with the idea that mice is closest to him than these cards, right? If you read with the idea of near and far, right? Then we have mice closest to him. This is about stress and worry. And so maybe it started out nicely, Sun, but then it got stressful. Like the people in the group became more of an annoyance or irritation as time went on. Right? So there's man and garden. Now we can take book and sun. So this could be a project that's successful, or, a day to read. If we go with book being reading and then sun being day. If this is about being a reader, going with these two cards in, it's about being confident in your skill and your ability to read. This could even be a book on confidence or a book on success, right? And then here with mice and tree, here we may have stress and worry about health, or that stress and worry is growing and developing, or it could be about a gradual decline, um, gradual deterioration, decay, and wanting to heal that. And that could be, again, more of a health type issue, right? This would make me think, mice would make me think of an issue that's chronic, right? And then with stars in the middle would be like, what guidance could we seek around that? What would be the direction regarding this condition? Or is there something that we could learn about, having a goal to help heal that? So in wrapping up, I'm just going to repeat the core energy of the cards for each day on Monday. This would just be a day where a man is going to play a significant role or part in the course of the day. Or if you are a man, then it's about what are you focusing on? What could you focus on resolving? Tuesday is a day of learning. So this is about knowledge, education, maybe having to do with a project of some kind. And going with the visual, what do we need to close the book on Tuesday? Wednesday, the biggest thing I see here is about stress and worry. So potentially on Wednesday, you're being encouraged not to let the little things stress you out if you can avoid it, if you can help it. On Thursday, at the heart, here we have our goals. So it's focusing on achieving a goal, focus on a hope, a wish, maybe putting some time and energy and attention into asking yourselves, where do I want to go? Or what inspires me at this point? And then on Friday is a day of healing something, because this is about health and healing. So healing, a form of recovery, and maybe needing to put into practice some patience on Friday, especially if it involves something that you're looking to see grow and develop. And so just understand that maybe Friday is a day to have patience. Saturday looks to be a great day. It's a day of success. In the literal sense, it could be a sunny day, a warm day, but also a day maybe to put into practice, having a positive outlook, positive energy and being confident. And then rounding out the line on Sunday. Sunday is a day to possibly be social, to be out with other people, or just to be out in nature. But it's a day to be out. And I will say this, maybe it's a day to do what's natural to you. Going with the idea, I'm playing on the idea of this being nature. You know, you doing what's natural to you. And on that note, I will go ahead and end this week's Oracle Outlook. I'm James Himm Mitchell, and as I close, I'd like to thank you for sharing space here with me for this week's reading, and to Sempa, because you asked me to do a line of 7. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope you found it informative in your own learning process with the cards. So again, this is James. I'm wishing you a wonderful day, and I'm wishing you a wonderful week. Take care.